The Senate will come to order. The Senate will come to order. The Secretary will call the roll.
Senator Buck. Here. Senator Cannizzaro. Here. Senator Daley. Here. Senator Doñate. Senator Dondero-Loop. Here. Senator Flores. Present. Senator Goycochea. Here. Senator Hammond. Here. Senator Hansen. Here. Senator Harris. Here. Senator Krasner. Here. Senator Lang. Here. Senator Neal. Here. Senator Wynn. Here. Senator Orenshaw. Here. Senator Pizzina. Present. Senator Scheibel. Here. Senator Seavers-Gansert. Here. Senator Spearman. Here. Senator Stone. Here. Senator Titus. Here.
Let the record reflect there are 21 senators present. Please rise for the prayer by Tribal Elder Lori Caskey of the Shoshone-Paiute Tribe and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Nudami Nani Shungendo, I'm going to pray in my Shoshone language. Mekodam Apa, Numasekawa, Sangunan Humi Sundahai, Ekduni Wadi, Sang Sundahai, Numi Oyo, Sundahai, Washanana Sugan, Nana Sugan, Buhagan, a more number of Marik Sanumi Manu Sunga, Numak Pizza be the Madawa, Numanduro, and Numani Vajakan, Sekinum Gawa, Nama Duro, modern Duboy, modern Bung modern Dubo for in the southern Gajanak, Buitum, Nama Ugovich, Niwa, other which I key we can do, Zang Naminanka, Namanduro, and so Zang Hina Sumban, Dubopa, Sumban Ikondo, I mean, you go Zang Numani one can do us, and Number they going to Shoshone Bayoria, Soka Bimbi, Numi Ot, Mayugo, Numaba, Marik, San Numi Manasung, and Numo, Zango Mari Nankondo, say that with a Numidamazai, upper, Unuma, Nahan Sumba, like Numanusungan, Mayugo, Ashanan, Sugan, Nanasugan, Boga, Milk Sick Manai. Season Zan Dunny Mercondor, Number Subway, Numanduro, and Subway Zan Dubo for Hundo, and may you go Hashanan, Sugan Boha, Mako, Zangunamisunda head, Usubiga, Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're now order of business 3, reading and approval of the journal by previous order of the Senate. The reading of the journal is dispensed with, and the President and the Secretary are authorized to make the necessary corrections and additions. Order of business 7, communication.
Congress of the United States, House of Representatives, Washington, D.C., 20515, April 20th, 2023. Speaker Steve Yeager, Majority Leader Nicole Cannizzaro, Nevada State Legislature, 401 South Carson Street, Carson City, Nevada, 89701. Dear Speaker Yeager and Majority Leader Cannizzaro, I respectfully request the opportunity to address the distinguished members of the Nevada Legislature on Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. As the representative for Nevada's 4th Congressional District, I look forward to sharing information from the United States Capitol and discussing opportunities to improve and grow our state's economy and improve Nevada's future. I hope my address will provide an opportunity to identify areas in which we can partner for all of us to better serve the people of the Silver State. I'm honored and grateful for this opportunity. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Sincerely, Congressman Stephen Horsford, 4th District, Nevada. End of communications.
Order of business 8, waivers and exemptions.
Notice of exemption, April 27th, 2023. The Fiscal Analysis Division, pursuant to Joint Standing Rule 14.6, has determined the eligibility for exemption of Senate Bill number 427, signed Sarah Kaufman, Fiscal Analysis Division. End of notices.
Order of business 9, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Sponsor addition. Senator Spearman has approved the addition of Senators Hammond, Hansen, and Stone as co-sponsors on Senate Bill 451. Senate Concurrent Resolution 3, introduced by Senator Wynn, et cetera, and Assemblyman Yeager, et cetera. Memorializing esteemed attorney and lobbyist Ben Graham. Whereas Ben Graham was born in 1942 in Corvallis, Oregon, and thrived growing up on his family's farm and playing the piano. And whereas after a brief sojourn in Washington, D.C. for college and work, Ben returned to Oregon to pursue his true passion in legal studies, graduating with a doctorate of jurisprudence cum laude from Willamette University College of Law. And whereas Ben practiced law for 8 years in Oregon and also served as the president of the board of mentally handicapped adults before moving to Las Vegas in 1977 to become a prosecutor for the Clark County District Attorney's Office. And whereas Ben continued on to serve as Chief Deputy District Attorney in the Criminal Division and also played an influential role in the evolution of Nevada's current criminal law as the lobbyist for the Nevada District Attorneys Association. And whereas Ben worked tirelessly for over 30 years to improve the judicial system in this state, including teaching criminal justice courses for 29 years at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and the College of Southern Nevada. And whereas after retirement from his illustrious career with Clark County, Ben continued his contributions to the legal community as an attorney for the Nevada Supreme Court for 14 years, by which time he'd perfected his famous chocolate chip cookies that he and Alana, his loving wife of 43 years, often baked to give as gifts to their friends and loved ones in the community, including the Nevada Legislature. And whereas although Ben's professional career included many accomplishments, one of his proudest achievements was co-founding the Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers program of the State Bar of Nevada, which assists lawyers with addiction issues. And whereas, on a personal level, Ben is remembered by his wife, his children and their spouses, his niece and nephew, as well as his grandchildren, as a man of strong faith and a constant source of support and unconditional love. And whereas, although Ben faced many challenges and difficulties during his lifetime, including the tragic passing of his daughter Caroline in 2012, he used the hardships he endured as inspiration for a life of service, which ultimately left an enduring impact on Nevadans from all walks of life. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Nevada, the Assembly concurring, that Ben Graham's legacy and immeasurable contributions to the legal community of this state be commended and remembered as having forever changed the course of life for generations of Nevadans. And be it further resolved that Ben Graham's life, both professionally and personally, serve as the true embodiment of what it means to live a life of service in this state. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Senate prepare and transmit a copy of this resolution to the family of Ben Graham. And be it further resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Senator Wynn.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adopt SCR 3.
You heard the motion. Are there any remarks from the floor? Senator Orenshaw. Are there, Senator Cannizzaro? Okay. All right. I see, okay, Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you, President. I rise in support of Senate Concurrent Resolution 3.
Thank you.
I, had the privilege of getting to meet Ben Graham as a kid and getting to know him pretty much my whole life. He and my mom were attorneys together in the 1970s in Las Vegas, and I really grew to think of him more as like an uncle and someone I could always turn to when I had problems and I needed help. The resolution talks about his work with lawyers helping lawyers, and that isn't just something he put his name on to found and then let it be. He would talk to new admittees. I remember when I first got admitted to practice law and got to hear him speak and talk about how mentally hard it is to be an attorney and how many of our colleagues will fall into substance abuse issues and need help. And there was a time in Nevada where there wasn't help for lawyers who needed help. And Ben made it something that was no longer shameful if you were an attorney who needed help with your substance abuse problem. And you could try to get that help and try to not fall into the problems with your career and with law and with your practice and try to get back on your feet. I worked very closely with Ben and his family on legislation to fight breast cancer, which really touched his family after the loss of his daughter. When Ben went to work for the Supreme Court, he helped me immensely. And along with Senator Parks, we sponsored legislation to amend the Constitution, try to modernize the State Pardons Board to make sure that the Pardons Board would become effective, meet quarterly, and try to actually help people who needed pardons and needed sentence commutations. And Ben was a former prosecutor, so it was a leap for him to want to try to work for this, but he saw the merit in trying to have a modern pardons board that could actually respond when needed. when past sentences and past statutory structures that we had in Nevada were very unfair. He was someone I could definitely turn to whenever I needed help, and really, he and his family are always there for us, and I always have the fondest memories of Ben. So I urge support of this resolution.
Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand in strong support of SCR 3. I first met Ben Graham because I attended law school with his daughter, Alana Lee, and her now husband, Seth Floyd, and we were good friends in law school. And so my first introduction to the Graham family was, just to kind of be another kid who showed up to to dinners at the house and to get to experience the love of that family from the get-go. We were just friends with his daughter, and yet when we would show up to the family house, we were always met with a lot of love and gratitude. Hugs and how are you and what's going on in life and what do you think about law school and what do you want to be when you get to finally be an attorney. And I will be forever grateful to Ben and to his entire family for welcoming us with such open arms and such love and care. And that was how I knew the entire Graham family, who I know are here with us today. And then fast forward many years, getting elected to this body, I got to sort of experience all the ways in which Ben and the ways that he touched so many of us who were sort of just tangential but felt very much welcome and a part of that family, that he did just that in this building and has touched so many pieces of legislation that's important. So many of us here in this building in ways that I don't think I can properly express. And I am just really grateful to have them here for Cookie Day, because I do think that was one point where even when I was an intern here in 2009, and his wonderful wife, Alana T., sort of helped shepherd all of us law student interns to make sure we got the best experience. And I remember that was the first time I ever saw Cookie Day, and they sort of stopped the Assembly Judiciary Committee, and Bernie Anderson at the time had said, "Oh, it's Cookie Day, we got to have cookies." And so, business stopped at the legislature for Ben Graham to bring in those cookies, and they're delicious beyond belief, which I'm sure and I hope everybody has had a chance to get to taste today. But more so than that, I think it was, at least in my estimation, a way for him to express his love and gratitude for everyone who worked in this building. And I think that sometimes that's what you do, is you share things that you can give to people, even though they are small tokens, they're very meaningful. And throughout my career as a legislator in this building, there were very many times where Ben would just show up to my office. And I always thought he was there to talk about a piece of legislation. There's a bill, there's a budget, there's something that he needed to talk to me about in my elected capacity. But more often than not, it was just him coming by to say, "I was thinking of you. I want to make sure you're all right. This building can be tough, and I care about you." And that meant more to me than I can ever say. One of the last conversations that I had with him was sharing some photos of my baby Case, who he remarked would be an excellent cookie maker, and that the next time that he was making cookies, that Case would get to make them with him. So I apologize. I love Ben Graham very much. We miss him in this building. His presence and his influence will be forever remembered, and I'm just so grateful that his family has decided to still be with us and to share that with all of us today. So I urge my colleagues' support of Senate Concurrent Resolution number 3.
Senator Severs-Gansert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, rise in support of Senate Concurrent Resolution 3. Ben was an amazing and legendary figure in this building. I was fortunate to be able to meet him as well. And he was one of those people who was so thorough in his knowledge of policy and law, but he also had this soft, sensitive side where he made you feel part of the family. And I know that's what the cookies were all about, is making sure everybody felt welcomed and part of the family. And I'm so grateful that his family is here today. So I just wanted to take a moment and thank them for coming today. And I have to tell you that we had a little break in finance and we went and got cookies. I and a colleague went downstairs and we got a plate and we brought it up to the finance room. And, it's just one of those things that, again, reminds you of family and the closest that we have in this building, that Nevada is really small. And we're just so grateful that Ben shared so much of his life with us. Thank you.
Senator Hammond.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wasn't sure if this was, one of those where we're all allowed to speak, so I didn't want to say anything. But I was reminded by my colleague to my right here that I've been here a long time, so I get to say whatever I want and do whatever I want, apparently. So this is great. So you're all stuck. I first met Mr. Graham when he walked into a committee meeting and testified, and the first thought I had, and for those of you who know me, I can't help my thoughts, they just come, and I thought, my gosh, Wilford Brimley is in the building. I'm disappointed that most of you don't even know who Wilford Brimley is, first of all, but those of you who do know who he is, you're like, oh yeah, Wilford Brimley. And then he started talking. I'm like, it's not Wilford Brimley. I was disappointed for a little bit until he brought cookies. And then I thought, all right, I don't care if he's not Wilford Brimley anymore because he brought cookies. He actually, not only did he bring cookies, he's the kind of guy who would stop by and talk to you for a little while, as the majority leader said, and kind of just check in on you from time to time. And he did that my freshman year because he knows it's tough. Now, I'm going to confess something. When he passed away and you had your funeral, I had the opportunity to go, and I did not go because I don't go to funerals. I don't like to do them because I like to remember the person when they were around. And so I purposely I told my wife, I had a conversation with her, I said, I'm not going to go. I just can't do it. I wanted to remind myself about his presence and what it meant, the whole process, because it was part of the process. And so I didn't go. And did I regret it? No, because I remember him. And the fact that you all are bringing cookies today reminds me that he's still here. So in closing, please bring me my plate of cookies. And we'll all be happy and everything will be good. And I'm so grateful for this day and the opportunity to pay tribute to him. So thank you.
Okay, you've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that all necessary rules be suspended and that Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 3 be immediately transmitted to the Assembly.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The resolution is ordered immediately transmitted to the Assembly.
That concludes Order of Business 9.
Order of Business 16, remarks from the floor, introduction of guests. Senator Krasner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am so fortunate today, please stand up, to have some guests from Alpine Academy in Reno Sparks. And if there's any other members from Alpine Academy up in the balcony, please go ahead and stand up as well. I'm fortunate to have teacher Ashley Showers and students Matthew Crone, Rowan Garcia, and Drew Atkins. So if you could please make them feel welcome. Thank you.
Senator Severs-Gamzert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would you please stand up? With me today, I have Ariam Monhay. She's a marketing and social media specialist for the Nevada First Gen Network. She was born and raised in Reno, Nevada, alongside her 2 younger siblings. She's a proud second-generation University of Nevada, Reno College graduate and the daughter of Mexican immigrants. Ariam graduated in 2020 with a Bachelor of Science in Marketing and Management with a minor in Human Resources. She is currently pursuing her Master's in Business and will be graduating next year. And so she and I talked for a little bit. She was part of the Dean's Future Scholars Program, and that was one that we supported last year, or last session. We were able to put $4 million towards a program to basically create one that's statewide, and it's called the First Gen Network. And so she's been working with them. And what I like about Dean's Future Scholars, which now has a broader footprint, is that she was part of the program when she was younger, and students usually start in 6th grade. And so once she was towards the end of that program, or in high school really, she started mentoring 6th graders, and she was just telling me that some of the 6th graders that she mentored years ago are now at the University of Nevada, Reno. And the key to this Dean's Future Scholars program, or the First Gen Network, is that mentoring, so that students who are first generation to college, or may be first generation to college, feel comfortable being there and have the confidence to step up and attend. And it really changes the trajectory of entire families. So she's received her undergraduate degree, now she's getting her MBA. Would everyone please help me make her feel welcome?
Senator Dondero Loop.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I have 3 guests with me today, and I know that our Majority Leader will agree with me when I say go Rebels. So today I have Dean Danica Hayes, and Dean has led the expansion of student success and retention, progression, completion initiatives, and increased the college's scholarship capacity through new and reactivated research labs and centers since starting as dean in 2021. Professor Kenny Varner has worked closely with Nevada school districts and external charter organizations, the Nevada Department of Education, and other key community partners to identify trends and opportunities for new, expanded, high-need and high-impact programs to meet projected enrollment, professional, and societal demands. And Kirsten Sear, I know a lot of you have interacted with her, and she advocates for equity and access for all children through public education. And in her tenure as Public Education Foundation has increased its college scholarship program from $2.5 million to $6 million, launched a program to help address the teacher shortage crisis, and formed a coalition to engage and empower families to address the growing problem of chronic absenteeism. And Ms. Sear is president of the Public Education Foundation. So please help me make them feel welcome, and go Rebels.
Senator Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have quite a few tribal members with us today, but before I introduce them, we're going to start with a slight land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the stolen, occupied, traditional homelands of the Great Basin tribal nations, including the Northern Paiute, the Washoe, the Shoshone, the Southern Paiute peoples. We recognize that the Great Basin people originate from these mountains and valleys and are still here. We know that their spirits, medicine, ceremonies, language, and culture are older than the concept of Nevada or the United States. We take this opportunity to offer gratitude to the spirits and people of this land and encourage all people who live and work here to explore the impact of settler colonialism and systems of oppression that directly affect indigenous peoples. Let our collective body of work bring people together and uplift the fight for balance in nature and healing the spirit. Today we welcome the honorable elected tribal council members of the Shoshone Paiute tribes of the Duck Valley Indian Reservation, a sovereign nation with homelands in what we now call Nevada and Idaho. The Duck Valley community are descendants of the Great Western Shoshone and the Northern Paiute nations. 88 community members traveled 7 hours via bus from Owyhee to Carson City to be here for their legislative day. If you're here on the floor or in the gallery, please stand so we can acknowledge you. We have tribal council members, students, elders, school staff, and community members in attendance, many of whom will be experiencing the legislature for the first time. This is a historic event, the first Shopai Tribes Lobby Day in state history. The Shopai tribes are advocating for funding for a new K-12 Elko County School District public school on their reservation in Owyhee, Nevada. The current school was built in 1956 and is structurally unsound, dangerous, hazardous to the public health, and unsuitable for continued use. The existing school has also been found unsafe due to an underground hydrocarbon plume that has contaminated the groundwater and soil. It's heartwarming to see the Indigenous representation in the state legislature, and we look forward to exploring ways to co-govern these lands together. Please join me in a warm welcome to the Shoshone-Paiute tribes of the Duck Valley Indian Reservation. And Mr. President, I also have the pleasure of having one of my constituents with me, Mr. Randy Varner. You may have just seen his son sitting with my colleague from District 8. He's a recent retiree from Vidar Casino, and after 47 years working, will pursue a bachelor's degree at UNLV next fall, where his son is an Associate Dean of Professor of Education. He is also going to be my new best friend, I found out, so very thrilled about that. Can you all please make him feel welcome?
Senator Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have members of Ben Graham's family here with me today, and I know that they are also in other areas, so if I could have you guys stand. We heard a lot about the man, Ben Graham, and I just want to thank them and make them feel welcome in our legislative home. And there's nothing like feeling like you've come home than coming home to a warm plate of cookies. And so while they are welcome in our home, I feel like it is a part of their home as well. So if we can make them feel welcome.
Senator Buck.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the honor today to introduce you to a couple of my constituents who live in SD5. So Tanya Stone is a long-term resident of Henderson, having lived there for over 20 years. She is originally from Canada and moved to Las Vegas when she was 19 with her mother and sister. She just recently, as in a couple of weeks ago, within the last week or so, became a naturalized citizen this month. So congratulations to one of our state's newest official citizens. She attended CSN UNLV and received her pharma degree, PharmD, from Roseman. She has also worked as a pharmacist for almost 15 years in retail, hospitals, and transitional care, and is very excited that my colleague from Senate District 20 is representing that industry here in this body. She specializes in pain management and geriatric care. During her downtime, she loves spending time with her husband and 2 kids and enjoys traveling. And then I have Miss Ava here. She's 8 years old and she attends Coral Academy student. She's a Coral Academy student, public charter school. She's currently in the 3rd grade, and I had the pleasure this morning in reading to her class one of my books called Coco Goes to Carson City, about my little dog going around Carson City and showing much of these students who have never visited Carson City, this beautiful town that is our capital. She is very bright with a sunny disposition. It is always well liked by her friends. She has a lot of interests that include tap dance, swimming, drama, and soccer. And my colleague from Senate District 19 will be very happy to know that when she grows up, she wants to be a veterinarian. She loves all animals, but especially her dog, Pear, and she has had a great time so far visiting Carson City. And I told her she came on the best day ever, Ben Graham's Cookie Day. Thank you, and please make them feel welcome.
Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have some additional guests with me on the floor today, in addition to some members from Ben Graham's side of things. But if I could have you all stand. We have today with us James Woolsey, who is the superintendent of Nevada's own Great Basin National Park. Located just a few miles outside of Baker, Nevada, the park features 13,000 feet of Wheeler Peak, ancient bristlecone pines, Lehman Caves, and the darkest of dark night skies, which many of you may remember we have designated as a tourism piece for Nevada. And if you haven't been out there, I hear it is wonderful. I'm one of those people. I'm going to make it one of these days. And so I would highly encourage you to get out there and see it because it really is very beautiful. In addition, I'm going to introduce some other representatives from the Great Basin National Park Foundation. So the foundation is the official nonprofit partner for the park and passionately works to enhance, preserve, and interpret the starry night skies, wide open scenery, cultural heritage, and diverse native ecosystems of Great Basin National Park. So with us today are board chair Bridget Eastep, executive director, and I think we have some, in the back, great. And if anybody else is here, I don't know if any of you, no, we're all here on the floor, great. Executive Director Aviva O'Neill, Board Secretary Alicia Rabin, board members Kenji Hakuda, and one of my dear, dear, dear friends, former Senator Julia Ratty. And if you could please not only thank them for all of their hard work in making sure that Great Basin National Park stays beautiful and we are able to enjoy it as Nevadans, but also make them feel very welcome here on the floor of the Senate.
Senator Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also just want to remind everyone we are having a ribbon cutting. I know you've all been wondering what's been happening to the former lunch area in Delhi here in the legislative building. Well, there is a library that is going to be open for everyone to use. We're doing a ribbon cutting at noon. Please join us so that we can take a look inside and you can get to see that new facility as we open that for use here in the legislative building. With that, Mr. President, I'll agree with my colleague from Senate District 8. Go Rebels. I do love that you're wearing blue today, though. I'm just going to throw that out there. And with that, Mr. President, I would move that the Senate stand in adjournment until the hour of 11 a.m. on Monday, May 1st, 2023.
Very good. You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.